Hi, everybody. How's your week going? Mine is going okay, although I have seemed to have lost yet another lipstick. I can tell you there's probably some location in this house that has every lipstick I've ever owned and couldn't find. Anyway, you've got questions, I've got answers. Let's talk about renewing your passport with some Q&A. So we've recently talked about getting your passport and what to do if you lose your passport. This week we're going to talk about renewing your passport. Good news! It's much easier than either getting it at first or replacing it if you've lost it. So there's that. But before we get into it, if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Gretchen, the Tipsy Travel Gal. I'm a licensed esthetician and a travel agent, and it is my goal to eat, drink, and spa my way around the world. Gonna take you with me, show you some amazing things to see, some fun things to do, and of course some delicious things to eat and drink. My hope is that that's going to inspire you to travel, whether that be international or domestic. So if that sounds interesting to you, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also in the description below, I have a link to my GoFundMe page. Check it out. You can learn a little bit about me, where I've been, where I'm going. And if you have a couple extra dollars, I would truly appreciate a donation as well. But task at hand, let's talk about renewing your passport. Getting started, I'm just going to throw this out there. This is only for renewing passports that were issued when the person was over 16. So if you're renewing your passports for your kids that were before they were age 16, you're going to have to do something a little bit different. But this is basically for most adults that already hold a United States passport. Remember, many countries have like expiration limits, like it has to be good for 6 months beyond when you are traveling. So keep that in mind when you are planning your international travel. Check your passport, make sure A, it hasn't expired, and B, it's not expiring too soon. And if it is, think about planning your travel after you have the ability to get your passport back. So there's good news. You can renew your passport by mail if you meet certain criteria, but most people are going to meet certain criteria, at least hopefully. What are those criteria? You can mail in your passport with your application, meaning you don't need it for the next 3 months or so, and you can mail it in. Your passport is not damaged beyond normal wear and tear, so like it hasn't caught on fire, you haven't dropped it in the ocean. It's basically got the normal wear and tear of taking it in and out of your pocket, maybe dropping it on the ground a couple times. You've never reported that passport lost or stolen. We covered that one in losing your passport, so absolutely. If it has been issued in the last 15 years, most passports are good for 10. So you can renew an expired passport via mail, but it has to be within that 15-year mark. It was issued to you when you were over the age of 16. Your current name is still the same, and if not, you can provide legal documentation of your name change, like a marriage certificate or a divorce decree. And final, your passport wasn't limited to a less than 10-year period. Usually that happens if you've lost your passport multiple times or you've damaged it multiple times. So you've had to have it replaced a lot. So they actually make it for a shorter time frame. So as long as all those criteria are met, you can do it by mail, and it's actually a very simple procedure. Let's get on to that. You need to get all the following together: your most recent passport, any name change documents if that's required, and a new passport photo, same type of passport photo that you applied with. I mean, it has to be different, but wherever you went to get the passport photo the first time, yeah, just go there again. Once you got all that together, you're going to go on the State Department's website and you're going to fill out Form DS-82. You can either download it and write it in, or this particular form does have a form filler so that you can just type in the information and then print it out with all of your information already filled out. Now remember, when you applied for your passport, you were not to sign and date it until you actually took it to the passport agency. In this case, since you're mailing it in, go ahead and date and sign it. And then you're going to take that form and all of your supporting documentation that I made you get together in the beginning, and you're going to mail it in. Now, there are 2 different locations to mail it to. If you live in California, Florida, Illinois, Minnesota, New York, or Texas, you're going to send it to a location in Irving, Texas. Every place else, you're going to send it to a location in Philadelphia. Why? I don't know. That's why I drink. You don't have to send it priority mail, but I would highly recommend paying for it to go priority mail. Why? You can track your passport. Remember, we talked about tracking your passport online. However, until it actually reaches the passport facility, there's no tracking on it. So if you send a priority mail, you can track it from where you send it from to the facility. And then once it gets to the passport facility, you can track it from there. How do you track it at the passport facility? Well, you go to the State Department's website and you go to Track My Passport. That being said, once it arrives at the passport facility, it might take up to 2 weeks for it to be switched to in process. Why? Because the package gets delivered to the facility, they have to process your payment, and then they have to scan in your application, and then they start working on it. As long as you see it actually reach the facility, give it a couple weeks, and then it should start to go into in process. Currently, it takes about 8 weeks to get a passport. I know some people that have gotten it sooner. I know some people that have gotten it later. So again, it's really important to try to time that out with any trips. You don't want to cut it too close to try to renew your passport before you go on a trip. If you're doing it by mail, you've got the time it needs to get to the facility. So from the point you mail it, it's going to have to travel there, usually a couple days. Then you're going to need to give it a couple weeks for it to actually enter the system. And then you're going to probably wait about 8 weeks to be able to get your passport back. So you're looking at about a 3-month time frame to renew your passport. At least that's what I would give it. If I was traveling and I needed to renew my passport, I would make sure I started the process at least 3 months in advance, probably 4. Now, if you need it faster, you might be able to apply at a passport agency. There are like 4 different processing levels. There's normal, which is, it's going to take you 8 weeks to get your passport. There is emergency, and that is only for life and death situations, meaning somebody in your family who is not in the country is very sick. You can get your passport within 3 days, but you have to have documentation of having an immediate family emergency where the person is possibly going to die. They've also got urgent. That means you're going to be traveling in less than 2 to 3 weeks. So let's say you get hired by a company, they immediately need you to leave the country, and you have an expired passport. You can apply through a passport agency with urgent status. Finally, there is expedited service, which is where you're going to be traveling in less than 8 weeks. So if you forget to check your passport and then you look at it and realize you need to renew it and you're leaving on a trip, you can go and get it expedited. One thing I forgot to mention is, of course, when you send all of your documents in, you're going to have to pay a fee. So if you need it rushed, you're going to have to pay extra for that. They said the biggest mistakes people make is not signing their form and not making sure all of the required documents are in there. So your most recent passport, name change documents, and a passport photo. So hopefully you're going to find out in time that you need to renew that passport. You're going to send it in by mail. You don't need to pay for any kind of expedited services. And in 2 to 3 months, you're going to have your brand new passport. So I hope that answered any of the questions you have about renewing your passport. If you like this video, please like it and consider subscribing to my channel. If you have any other questions about passports or just questions in general, please feel free to comment below. You can also go on any of my social media channels. I am Tipsy Travel Gal on all of the main platforms. Leave me messages there. Or you can go to my website, tipsytravelgal.com. There's a contact me link at the top. You can click on that and it'll take you to a place to send me an email. So again, thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, bye.